What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC 269 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, December 11th, only on pay-per-view, the main card, and it should be one hell of a main card. Really looking forward to the main event of the evening. I think with Habib gone, it's really good to see two top-level lightweights go at it and see who's going to be the champion of the world. Obviously, we have Oliveira winning that title, and I think he's a sneaky guy. I'll talk more about that in a few, but overall, I think the main card's pretty solid. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena might not. It seems very predictable, but we'll have to see. So let's go ahead, jump right into it. Hope to bounce back from the previous card. Didn't do too well on that one. Let's see if we can end the year, man. Let's see if we can end the year pretty solid. I think there's another card, but yeah, let's see if we can end the year. So for the first fight on the main card, we have Raulian Paiva, number 15th ranked, taking on Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley. And in this fight, obviously, I think they're feeding Paiva to Sean O'Malley. It remains to be seen whether or not he's going to run through him or anything like that. Now, if you go ahead and watch Paiva's last fight against Kyler Phillips, it was kind of like a back and forth. Both guys were pretty tired at the end of that. For Paiva, I mean, he definitely aced some shots in that fight, and that's the one thing here is O'Malley's not one of these guys who's gonna brawl with you. He's not gonna just pick some sloppy shots. He's definitely gonna try to set things up, be more technical about it. He goes for the spinning stuff, but it's very calculated. Pretty good right straight, left straight. Good counters as well. That's the biggest thing I think in this fight. I see O'Malley countering Paiva, and Paiva, he can definitely land some hard shots, but it just looks, he just looks really open when he's doing that, and I just see Sean O'Malley landing some bombs on him. Now, if Paiva's able to get this fight to the ground, O'Malley might not be the best off his back, so we'll have to see if that's able to get to, if it gets to on the floor and Paiva's able to do something. But even then, man, I feel like O'Malley could survive. But I just feel like O'Malley's going to do enough damage on the feet at least. 60% takedown defense. Obviously his numbers for his landed per minute is pretty boosted because, he's not necessarily fighting some of the best guys in the world. 8.25 strikes landed per minute, and then 3.59 strikes absorbed per minute. So he has a pretty high volume, but again, it's not against the best guys in the world, especially against like Chris Moutinho in his last fight. I mean, he should have finished that fight early on. Moutinho was just so strong in that fight. So yeah, very flashy Sean O'Malley. He sticks and moves a lot. He picks his shots. Good front kick to the body. Good head kicks. He can definitely put together some really nasty combinations. Good counters. I would say just pretty much light him up, and then defend the takedowns, if any takedowns. But obviously, I would try to stop him before you get taken down. So for Paiva, I mean, he's got to do something early on. Maybe he tries to go for it early on, tries to land something big, but I just feel like it's going to be a little bit sloppy, and he's going to get caught with something. So I'm going to go Sean O'Malley on this one. Maybe the first round, Paiva survives just a little bit. Hopefully, Sean O'Malley's legs are good as well. You don't really know what's going to happen with that sometimes. We'll have to see. That's a little sketchy. But I do think Sean O'Malley's probably going to win this fight. So, and I would say also Sean O'Malley probably is going to have the better cardio. Paiva, if he's trying to just swing big bombs down the pipe, he's probably going to gas out a little bit. So we'll have to see what he does with that. But I do think Sean O'Malley probably wins this one. So I'm going to go Sean O'Malley to defeat Raulian Paiva. I'll take him to win by KO in round number 2. And then move on into the next fight, and we have Kai Kara France, Don't Blink, taking on Cody No Love Garbrandt. And I think the big story around this one is whether or not Garbrandt's going to look good at this weight class. People are saying he looks super sucked in one of his recent photos that he took. I mean, he does look pretty skinny, and if he hasn't cut down to the weight yet, then it's kind of weird. But then again, who knows, right? It's just a picture. You don't really know. You don't know the filters. You don't know all this stuff. You don't know how it was taken, the lighting. Like, there's so many things. So you could talk about it all you want. But I do think, at glance, though, Kai Kara France, this is a sketchy fight because we've seen, if you look at France's last fight, he defeated Rogerio Bortorin by round 1 KO TKO in a fight where he was kind of losing that fight, and then out of nowhere he's able to just get the finish, hit the KO in kind of a wild exchange. And if you watch some of his other fights too, it looks like during some of the wild exchanges he's able to land some bombs. that's concerning to me just because we know Garbrandt, we don't know how he's going to be. Is he going to get into a wild exchange, try to throw down, and next thing you know, Garbrandt's just getting taken out. And maybe Garbrandt is the better fighter, but France is able to land a big bomb in one of these wild exchanges. So that's a little concerning for me. I do think France has 86% takedown defense. That's going to maybe come in handy if Garbrandt goes for any takedowns. So we do know Garbrandt can wrestle. It's just that, he's not necessarily going for it all the time. But early on, we saw him wrestle. He's a pretty good wrestler. Strikes landed per minute for Garbrandt, 3.17. Strikes absorbed, 4.14. So, again, I think that goes back to more of just Garbrandt back in the day when he would get into those wild exchanges and just start throwing down and, he's getting dropped and stuff like that. That's a little concerning. I hope he doesn't do that here. But Garbrandt's dangerous, man. He's definitely dangerous. A little scary, though, obviously, with his chin. Use the wrestling. Don't brawl. How's the weight cut going to affect him? I think his cardio should still be pretty solid. For Garbrandt, I would try to piece him up. I think he is probably going to be the better fighter. I think if he can show that he's going to be the better fighter, I just think he has he just, if he fights smart, he's not going to get into these brawls. I would look for France to come out here and just brawl with him. I think Garbrandt can have the better volume here and just kind of outpace him. I mean, Garbrandt's fought best of the best. He's fought champions and all that. So, yeah. I mean, the only way I see France winning this fight is if he goes out there, brawls with him, Garbrandt brawls back, and then next thing you know, Garbrandt's on the floor because he decided to start throwing down. And that's just not going to work out, I don't think, anymore for him. So, Garbrandt needs to fight smart, fight technical, kind of how he fought Font, but just a little bit quicker. And I mean, his last fight is against Rob Font, man. And Rob Font's one of the best in the world. The only way, maybe France gets a takedown, but I don't really think so, man. I think Garbrandt's going to be able to just piece him up on the feet over the course of 3 rounds. And he's probably going to really want this, right? So, because if he loses to France, it's not going to be looking good for Garbrandt. He's definitely not going to be fighting like top level guys. He might become like a gatekeeper or something like that. So, Garbrandt, keep it technical. Don't brawl. And France, he's got to knock him out somehow, brawl with him. So I'm going to go Cody Garbrandt. Stay in there. Stay strong. I'll take him to win by decision. And we have Jeff Neal coming on. Jeff Hands of Steel Neal taking on Santiago Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio. And for Jeff Neal, he's coming off, some controversial, whatever it may be. It could be something stupid. DUI, I guess you could say, with a weapon or something like that. Who cares, right? But for Jeff Neal, coming into this fight, coming off 2 losses, that's a little unfortunate. But the only reason I feel like he lost those fights is just because they were better strikers than him, just had a little bit more volume to it. Neal, not necessarily the best volume guy. He has a really good power, though. If you look at some of the combinations he's putting on Neil Magny, I mean, those are some pretty solid shots. Big power, good pressure. He'll press you against the fence, just try to work the clinch with you. But I would say, like, in some of the moments against Neil Magny, I felt like if he would have backed off and started landing more strikes, I feel like he could have done something in that fight. And if he was going to be able to do that, I think it might have worked. But he just really didn't. He was kind of just clinching with Magny against the fence. And then eventually, Magny was just landing the better strikes towards the end of the fight. So, for Jeff Neal, I think he needs to press forward against Santiago Ponzinibbio. If you give Ponzinibbio that space and he's able to start landing those, putting together some of the combinations that he puts together, he can really start teeing off on you. But if you don't give Santiago that space that he needs, Neal can definitely start landing the shots in close. And I think Neal's probably gonna have the better boxing in close, especially the better power. So I'd like to see what happens with that one. And then maybe Neal tries to work to the grappling, because I do think Ponzinibbio can definitely tire, especially if Ponzinibbio starts just getting a little too wild in there. I can see that. So I'm gonna go Jeff Neal on this one. I kind of want to see what happens when Neal tests his chin, especially early on. See if he can land something quick. But if Neal, like I said, if Ponzinibbio is able to get that space, land leg kicks, go to the body, hit him with the blitzes, and Neal's kind of just content with, picking some shots here and there and then pressing against the fence, he's probably going to lose another decision. Probably lose another decision or kind of just get teed off on. But I'm looking for Jeff Neal to get in his face and take him out pretty quick. Close the distance. Don't give Santiago Ponzinibbio, test his chin and see what you can do with it. So I'm going to go Jeff Neal on this one. to be the aggressor and try to close this one out early and show that, everything going on right now isn't necessarily a good tale for what's going on in his life. He's gonna try to come out here and win big. So I'm gonna go Jeff Neal to defeat Santiago Ponzinibbio. I'll take him to win by round 1 KO TKO. And move on into the co-main event of the evening, and we have Amanda, the Lioness Nunes, taking on Juliana, the Venezuelan Vixen Pena, for the women's bantamweight title. And obviously, Amanda Nunes is a two weight division champion. So I guess that's the only thing here is, what's her plans? Does she want to defend 2 belts? Is she at a point where it's like, what's the point of doing this? You never know, right? She could announce retirement and all this kind of stuff. So, and obviously for Juliana Pena, she's hungry, hopefully. Coming off a win against Sarah McMahon, round 3 submission. But I believe she got taken. I think she got submitted or something like that against Megan Anderson, who, Amanda Nunes just crushed. And that's just the hardest thing to kind of overlook here is just Amanda Nunes, dominant. She's fought everybody, 2 weight divisions, nasty power in her striking. The only thing I can see here is maybe the weight cut, but I just think Amanda Nunes is just going to be too much for Juliana Pena. Maybe Pena tries to go for strikes, just some aggression early and try to do something and then get a hold of her. But, I don't think that's even the way to do this. I feel like whoever beats Amanda Nunes has to do this over, 5 rounds and beat her up and kind of do something like that. I don't think it's going to come off of, a one-shot KO within the first 30 seconds. I guess it could, but, Amanda Nunes, man, when she starts landing, it's pretty much over. She just starts landing these nasty bombs, and it's just too much. It's hard for me to see Juliana Pena winning here. But she has nothing to lose. I guess that's one good thing, so we'll have to see what happens. But I definitely, Amanda Nunes, unless she's just not into it right now. I guess if she's just not, maybe she's thinking about something else like retiring, or she doesn't want to cut weight to 135. Maybe she's not really in it, and then she's like, and she doesn't look the best. But, if that's not the case, pretty sure Amanda Nunes is going to win this one. So I'm going to go Amanda Nunes. I think she can hurt Pena. And then whether or not she ground and pounds her or knocks her out, or she just jumps on her, rear naked choke kind of thing. So I'm going to go Amanda Nunes to defeat Juliana Pena by submission in round number 1. Move on into the main event of the evening. Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier. This is a pretty solid fight. Charles Oliveira 31-8, 1-0 contest, veteran in the game. Dustin Poirier 28-6, 1-0 contest, veteran in the game. Especially at the lightweight division, both guys top level competition. Some people are arguing though that obviously Dustin Poirier has fought the better competition. He's been in there against Justin Gaethje, he fought Khabib, Eddie Alvarez. He's been in Conor McGregor. He's fought everybody. Max Holloway. He's beat Max Holloway. Dude's been in Anthony Pettis. And then you look at Do Bronx and it's like, well, maybe his competition isn't the best. And when he's fought top level guys, he's gotten crushed by him or whatever. That is the case, I guess you could argue, but man, if you look at Charles Oliveira's previous fights, I think this one thing here is a lot of people are underestimating Charles Oliveira, and I think they're underestimating him in the stand-up game. I think his stand-up is very sneaky. He's landed some really clean shots. When you watch him fight Kevin Lee, he lands some pretty good shots in there that if you don't remember it happening, you might think, he submitted him or whatever. Oh, he's a grappler or whatever. You just think every fight that he has, he's just a grappler. But when you watch some of these shots that he does, it's just sneaky power. Where did it come from? Maybe it's a jab or something like that, or a little check hook to the dome, and then he's doing damage in those though. So he's not known for that, but I do think he's more well-rounded than people give him credit. Obviously for Dustin Poirier, same thing, well-rounded. He's a grappler as well. He can grapple. Good power though. I would say for Dustin Poirier is more of the aggression, the grit. He'll definitely hang in there, give it his all. We saw that against Justin Gaethje. He's outlanding these guys. He's throwing all this volume. So that is concerning. If Charles Oliveira breaks, I guess you could say Poirier just kind of pieces him up over the course of the 5 rounds or 3 rounds, and then he just kind of slowly breaks him down. That's a little concerning, and I can definitely see that happening. But I just feel like Oliveira, people are just underestimating him. He's the underdog here, and you got to watch out for some of the strikes, man. And on top of that, obviously, the grappling is there for both guys, you could argue. I think a lot of people are picking Poirier because they think like his striking is going to be so much better. But I think they're not doing service for Oliveira, where yes, his grappling is very good, but his striking is so sneaky and it's unorthodox, and you might be surprised of what he can do here. And if he's able to hurt Dustin Poirier on the feet, I think a lot of people are like, oh my God, what's going on? But I really want to see what Oliveira can do here because, he's definitely better in the game, and I think people are just disrespecting him. I think his striking is definitely a little bit more sneaky than a lot of people are giving him credit. So can he hurt him and then finish him on the ground with a submission? Of course. I think if Dustin Poirier wins, I think it's more of just like a TKO kind of ground and pound or a knockout, something like that. Can he do it? Of course he can. We've seen Dustin Poirier in wars before, and I think if anyone breaks over the course of the 5 rounds, it'll probably be Oliveira. Anyone gets finished early on, via submission, I feel like it's Oliveira doing the submission against Poirier unless he's badly hurt by something, which can happen. I think it's be a great fight. Preference that by saying this fight's so exciting to look forward to. So we'll have to see what happens. But I gotta go Charles Oliveira on this one, man. I feel like he's getting disrespected. I think his stand-up's gonna be a lot better than most people think. So I'm gonna go Oliveira. I think he lands something weird inside, tight, that you don't necessarily see when it happens, and the next thing you know, Poirier's in a little bit of trouble, and then we see Oliveira go down there, guillotine his ass or something like that. And then get the finish. But I do think that first round could be a really tense round where both guys are kind of feeling out, because I think if one of these guys makes a mistake, more than any other fight, like if Oliveira gets hurt or something like that and Poirier jumps on him and is able to tee off on him, I think Oliveira could be, finished right there. And then the same thing for Poirier. If Poirier gets a little too relaxed in there and gets tagged with something, he's like, oh shit, what, because Oliveira is not necessarily known for his striking. Poirier gets tagged a little bit, goes down on the floor. Next thing you know, Oliveira jumps on his neck or something like that, guillotine him, hanging off his body and guillotining him. Like that can definitely happen. So it's gonna be like quick. I think whatever happens, I don't think it's gonna be like a war. I guess it could be a war. I just don't think Oliveira wins that. But I'm gonna go. I don't think it's be a war. I think someone's getting finished early on. So I'm gonna go Charles do Bronx Oliveira to defeat Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I'll take a win by round 2 submission. That'll do it, guys, for my UFC 269 main card predictions for the upcoming event. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below. Tell me who you're picking, who you got in the main event. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button. I won't see it. And then subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you guys in the next video.